Here it is, 5 steps to getting purposeful. First step is what? I want you to start thinking. We're gonna do an exercise around this, but right now I just want you to think. Don't write, just think. In your own life, focus. You would have to write down your goals. That's the first thing, right? And then you have to focus on your 20%. What is 20%? What's the 80-20 rule? What does that mean?
Top 20% gives you 80% of your results.
Right? You do 20% of the stuff that you need to do, and you'll get 80% of the results.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. Absolutely. You can focus on the 80, and you only get 20% results. But if you focus on the top 20, you'll get 80%. That's called working smarter rather than harder. So here you go. Step 2, find strategic options. I want you to just think. I'm just asking you to think and not write, please. There's a purpose of why I ask you to think and not write. Only think. Ask, how can this be done? How can that be done? Ask, are there different or better ways of doing it? Step 3, look at the model. I'm sorry. Look for models to follow. Attend training that teaches you how to get where you want to go. Identify mentor people who have done it before. I love using this step. This is a step that I use quite often, actually, because I could get a little creative, and I look for models. So what I would do is I call people and ask questions. So I would essentially be doing an interviewing process, right, to understand, well, what is working for you and how that works and why does that work and what are you doing to make that work and all of that. So that's huge. I gather the information. So it's like a training event for me when I do that, right? I learn. And then identify who's the best at it. Who's the best at it? That's the person I'm going to model after, right? And then you install the systems. You time block, practice scripts, create checklists. Make sure the systems you install work consistently and efficiently. So here's the part, number 4, it's very interesting. Now, obviously, this was written for your business, right? Would you say that? Mm-hmm. Can this be used? Do you have scripts for your kids?
Yes.
Yes. This could be used in your personal life too. So, yeah, you just need to expand, think beyond, think bigger. Okay.
So can I interject?
Sure.
Because what you're doing right now is scripts that your mother taught you.
Yes.
Your language, your dialogues, what we're doing, it's just a different description for what we call language.
Yeah.
When we say scripts, it's scripts because we've written down our language in a form of communication on a specific way of communicating, right? It's scripted, we wrote it. But language is what we're really talking about. We practice scripts because we're practicing our language, we're practicing our dialogue. If I brought, you guys all know that guy on the History Channel, the redneck guy, you can barely understand what he talks about, like the swamp people, all that stuff. So could you imagine that guy, one of those guys that they have subtitles, he's speaking English in a real estate negotiation, right? He's negotiating on your behalf, and you can barely understand what he's saying because he's talking in this southern accent and everything. Well, that's what we sound like in the legal form or in the conversion form when we don't have our language correct. People don't understand what we're saying, or we don't make any sense because we're not being purposeful with what we say.
I think it's absolutely true that your language and how you grew up and what the language is from your mom and from your so this is how I used it, and yes, it comes through in our own language. So creating checklists, making sure your systems you install work consistently and efficiently. I had checklists at home. I also had systems in place at home. I don't know who doesn't. Who wouldn't have a system at home? One system is as simple as putting food back in the refrigerator after you take it out of the refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
Picking up your plate and taking it and rinsing it off is one's, you know,
Well, we all have systems that we follow,
right,
and we all have habits. It's just a matter of, like, when we talk about scheduling, how efficient they are.
how
You
efficient.
know, everybody today, we all had a schedule. We all did something with every hour that existed this day, but whether we wrote it down or not may have been the determining factor in whether we were efficient with that time or not. But none of us was just in, you know, purgatory for a couple hours today and didn't do anything.